So this evening I will be having a look at all things Cambridge Junction. My name is Anthony Carpen and this is Vloguary 2020. So I was at the Junction earlier this evening for Maisie Adams' excruciatingly brilliant show. One of the things that actually the Junction have done really well this year is diversifying their lineup, in particular on gender, with their stand-up comics, because I've been a bit of a persistent critic in recent years of theirs. I think there was one season where I think they had possibly only one woman on their lineup of stand-up comics that were otherwise nearly all white and male, and actually I just prefer diversity in lineups because it means that at least subject-wise or topics-wise you're covering much more material. Anyway, just to have a look at some of the people who are on this lineup, and do have a look, junction.co.uk. Tickets I've already bought. Lucy Porter, who I always love seeing, and I've been a big fan of for many years. I also saw her during my civil service days at the Soho Theatre down in London when I was living in Camden. It's actually closer to King's Cross, so it's actually closer to Holborn in that part of town. And I still see it as kind of like another familiar place. Catherine Bohart, who you may have seen on the Daily Mash, poking fun at some of the more oppressive government policies, in particular lampooning very oppressive policies on immigration that obviously end up tarring people who look like me. Yeah, as you can see, I've still got this huge chip on my shoulder regarding the election result in South Cambridgeshire, which is also one of the reasons why I have had to, or rather chosen to, resign from the Cambridge and South Cambridgeshire Blue Plaques Committee, because I can't see how I can possibly serve the constituency of South Cambridgeshire when 31,000 people went and voted for that candidate for the Conservatives. So I'm just not going to do it. We've also got Mark Thomas, who is also coming back. He's got a brilliant book. He's got several brilliant books out, actually, but the one I really like is his challenge of kind of like 100 acts of minor rebellion, and still yet to see the Extinction Rebellion people actually have a look at that one and see what fun games they can have. But he was the person who famously, or infamously, call it what you will, got one of the more draconian pieces of legislation relating to the policing of protests. It was actually under the counter-terrorism remit, overturned because it just made a mockery of people wanting to protest. Actually, it made even more of a mockery of the police trying to protest against them. So do have a look at that on YouTube, because the conversations he has with the inspector of Charing Cross Police Station are quite something, especially when it comes to things like submitting your requests in writing. If you submit it in writing in icing on a cake, then, you know, you've got to be careful how you frame these laws. Anyway, talking about protests and things, some of you may be aware that the Junction started off life actually as a riot. In the 1980s, Cambridge was losing music venues and entertainment venues left, right and centre. And people tried to protest nicely about it, you know, petitions and what have you. And it was getting nowhere. And so in the end, several hundred young people went and occupied an old cycle warehouse on East Road. And it got very violent. Several people got put in hospital and several people got arrested and hauled before the magistrates. And it was on the back of that the authorities decided, okay, we need an entertainment venue for young people, otherwise they're going to carry on rioting. And as a result, the Junction got built. And this year, 2020, is their 30th anniversary. And so my good friend Hilary Condren is running this. It is the Lost Nights and Love Songs programme celebrating 30 years of the Junction. And my first night at the Junction was some 25 years ago now, 1995, though I did go to, if I remember rightly, in 1993 some summer drive-in reconstruction, if I can put it that way, where they basically turned what was the car park around the Junction building, which was previously just this flat piece of derelict land, into a drive-in, and everyone would tune in their radio station, their car radios, to this frequency, and that would be the audio for it. So it's like proper old school, if I can put it that way. The site, when you look at it today, is now unrecognisable compared to what it was. It was effectively built on a small plot of land that was functioning as a park and ride, but was effectively just old railway land, from the closure of some of the railway marshalling yards. But like I said, it's got a wonderful history. Do go along and get involved in it, for those of you who are in and around Cambridge. I've also got a couple of other things coming up. I've got more body armour. These are actually shorts for when I go ice skating, because I'm getting older and more frail, should I put it that way? Well, either that way, just taking more precautions than perhaps I would have done, let's say, 20 years ago when engaging in sports. And with the ice rink, I've gone and got some Under Armour body pads, just so I'm making sure when I fall over safely. What else have we got coming up? Oh, one other thing about the Junction. They do have a membership scheme for people who want to kind of be members and support what they're doing. So I've renewed my membership for this year. So they said, welcome back. And you get a whole host of goodies that come with it, including, for those of you who sign up to the high level, which is that of supporters, which I've done, you get a whole little goodie bag of things that come with it. But obviously your money actually goes further towards helping their projects with, in particular, young people in and around Cambridge, because that's primarily who the Junction was built to serve. And I think it's something that we in Cambridge should constantly remind ourselves that I think certainly going forward, it'd be good to see some more events put on there aimed at, in particular, the under-18s. But the support has got to come from the older generations, and I think a city as wealthy as Cambridge should be doing a lot more to support our arts institutions that actually do the really hard work in our our more economically deprived communities and neighbourhoods. Because, you know, despite what you read in the political papers and the political press about how wealthy Cambridge is, we do have our pockets of poverty that are easily missed. And you know, if we want to make Cambridge as great as we think it can be, then that means making it great for everyone, not just those who have the money. Anyway, I shall leave it there. My name is Anthony Carpen, and you've been watching Vloguary 2020.